Ladies and gentlemen, another week has come and gone, and as per usual, things got wild. If you lived in the United States, you probably heard about the story of a passenger jet flying into a Black Hawk helicopter over Washington, D.C., and after that, everything got all political. And then on top of that, just a couple days later, a medical jet ended up crashing into a small neighborhood in Philadelphia. I heard more news about the politics behind it than the actual sad story of the passengers that this actually happened to. Needless to say, it's absolutely wild times. Meanwhile, Microsoft was in talks to apparently buy TikTok. But they are not the only ones coming with bags of money swinging. As it turns out, Mr. Beast is right there with a group of investors, which include the CEO of Roblox, to try to make a bid on TikTok for over $20 billion. But as the real world continues to go on, this show has nothing to do with that. This all has to do with the video games behind the scene. This is the show that I like to call the Weekly Reload. This is the show where we dive into everything video games with a slight focus on first-person shooters, specifically Call of Duty. Speaking of which, this week, Season 2 came out for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and needless to say, the community was torn. On one hand, we had multiplayer, where we got 3 new maps, a bunch of new weapons, all inside of the Battle Pass, and 1 new game mode. Essentially, that was about it. And as far as my sentiment behind things, some of the content that was added in, like the maps, felt really good. Having only 1 new game mode felt a little bit short, and then everything else, whether you're talking about the new score streak or new weapons, was almost behind a paywall. Whether we're talking about the Black Cell or the Battle Pass, or whether we're talking about the events that are yet to happen, things were seemingly hidden, and we'll get into those events in a second because yes, indeed, they were leaked. Then you had the Warzone side of things, where seemingly everyone was mad. There was really no new content added whatsoever to the game, all the while the bugs that they said were going to get fixed didn't, and even the meta that wasn't patched, or at least they said was patched, wasn't actually. That is why earlier on Friday, we did get an update revolving around that meta. It fixed a bunch of the bugs that were added into the game with Season 2, such as not being able to play with your friends, problems with tracking challenges, but more specifically, some of the meta changes that were supposed to have happened didn't really happen. So after this, the XM4 and the Jackal got nerfed, as well as a buff to the PPSH. We should see some changes in meta moving forward, but maybe not as much as people were asking about. And then we had Zombies. Zombies got introduced to a brand new map known as the Tomb. The Tomb isn't the biggest map that was introduced into Black Ops 6, nor was it the most intricate, but it seemingly made a pretty good boss fight as well as some pretty good gameplay. However, the community sentiment was torn on this one. Why, you may ask? Let me explain. This, ladies and gentlemen, around here is what we call the tinfoil hat moment of the week. And that is because this isn't news. This is just me kind of guessing something that's going on behind the scenes in video games, or in this case, Call of Duty. Now, this one all has to do with the map of the Tomb, because one thing, if you've played the map, you may have realized that the Tomb had no intro cinematic whatsoever. Normally, you log in, you load up the map, and for the very first time, it plays the cutscene that gives you the background of the story that is going on this map. However, the Tomb didn't have that. And even when you finished the Easter egg, the cutscene that followed up by playing had zero focus on the characters in and of themselves. In fact, it wasn't seemingly a pre-rendered cutscene whatsoever. It was almost as just if it just showed you some kind of cinematics, not of the characters whatsoever, and then pointed us in the direction of the next map. Now, some people stated that this was because this is a bonus map. We weren't originally supposed to get this. Well, that's where I come in, because I think this is bull, and this is where the tinfoil hat comes in. Because when it comes to the Tomb, when I first went to see Call of Duty Black Ops 6, specifically at Call of Duty Next, we were told that essentially every season reload is when we were going to get a new zombies map. So for example, during Season 1 Reloaded, that is when we got Citadel de Mor. Then comes Season 2 Reloaded, that's when we thought we were going to be getting a new map. However, we didn't. We got it at the beginning of Season 1, and I think that is because of 2 reasons. Number 1, I think Season 1 got extended. So originally, the directed mode for Citadel de Mor, I think, was supposed to come out with the launch of Season 2, but because Season 1 got extended, that got pushed back. And then the player numbers started to drop. So I think they pushed out the season 2 map, or season 2 reloaded map, at the beginning of season 2, hence getting the tomb now. Now, some people are saying that the lack of cutscenes or the lack of characters has to do with the problems with the actors of zombies and the AI concerns that people are having, the strike, the actor strike, and everything like that. But I happen to know that a lot of these cutscenes happen to be recorded like 6 months or even like a year in advance. So I don't know if this is indicative of what's going to be happening with the cutscenes moving forward, but it does lead to some worries, that's for sure. If you were watching the video in full screen, did I trick you? Because this is what has been going on with Black Ops 6. If you haven't seen this already, the blue screen of death has been caused by Black Ops 6. Now, there's been a bunch of speculation as to what this could be, how to fix it, and what exactly is going on. But as it turns out, what we are seeing more or less is that this is due to the kernel level driver on Ricochet anti-cheat. Now, of course, as we know, with Season 2, the anti-cheat got updated, but didn't get fully fixed. In other words, people are still hacking like crazy, but something to do with the driver not working correctly is quite literally crashing and killing people's computers. Now, the big worry is whether or not this driver or this issue getting the blue screen of death is going to literally kill off your computer or not. And based off of the reports that I'm seeing is no, it's not killing computer parts or anything like that. It is just completely crashing your computer. As far as what I've seen fix wise, really the only thing is, number one, scan and fix and repair your files on Battle.net. If that doesn't work, try turning off memory integrity. Should you have to do this for a Call of Duty game or any game at that ever? No, absolutely not. But hopefully I was able to help you out. And if not, if you're still having this problem, let me know down in the comments. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed soon. Now, speaking of those dropping player numbers that we have seen on Steam over the past month, the peak player count at Season 2 really wasn't that high. In fact, it was much less than what we saw with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which was worrisome. But what wasn't worrisome is, even though that these numbers are on Steam, it was still hit the #1 selling game on Steam at the launch of Season 2. So yeah, even though players are frustrated and dropping off the game, people are still spending money on it. So this next part is where we get into some leaks. So first off, the one thing that we know is coming very soon, I believe on February 6th, is the Terminator event. Now this event, based off of the leaks that I've seen, is going to be very similar to Archie's Festive Frenzy. In other words, where you collect skulls and by getting kills or opening chests in Warzone. Some of the items that will be included in this event are the reactive armor, which is a perk in Warzone, the War Machine streak, as well as the mag attachment, which is essentially the belt-fed magazine for, I believe it is all the LMGs. Then coming later on, we have the Shadow Hunt event, and this event is going to be our first event that is actually challenges. So for example, get 15 kills with melee weapons or something along those lines. This is going to have the perk that is Slipstream, which is changing up the way that sprint works in multiplayer. We also have the TR2 marksman rifle, which is essentially the FAL, which is, you know what that weapon is from previous Call of Duty games. And then we have the binary trigger for the Tonto 22, which essentially makes it so this weapon fires 2 bullets at once, almost making it so it's a 2-round burst weapon when you pull and let go of the trigger. These are the events that are coming the soonest, and after this, it kind of goes up in the air. But moving into some deeper leaks, we also have the TMNT collab. So what this is it's a leak that is put out there that there is currently works behind the scenes of a collab or an event using the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We don't really know much more than that, but one thing we do know is an event that didn't happen. Now this one makes me sad a little bit. So after Microsoft bought Activision and Blizzard, Microsoft was able to use the properties of their games in Call of Duty. So for example, we had the Fallout crossover event. Now, turns out there was supposed to be a crossover event with Halo. And I think this would have been really cool. But on top of that, the thing that makes me really disappointed is that this wasn't just going to be bundles. This was going to be maps. They were going to bring back maps from Halo and put them in Call of Duty. And I think this is the coolest because back in the day I played a lot of Halo 3, and if they would have brought those maps into Call of Duty, it would have been like double nostalgia with Call of Duty and Halo all coming together. I hope this is something they do in the future, and I hope this was something that wasn't canceled already. together. Now, moving into other video game news, we have some releases. A couple that came out this week. So first off, we have Sniper Elite Resistance.
Sneak into the regional Nazi intelligence HQ, find a Mo before the Gestapo, and try to find out what's got this so-called vertigo bloke so worried. Got my work cut out for me on this one.
Now, if you've never played a Sniper Elite game before, picture a third-person, generally a World War II Call of Duty game, where when you shoot someone, their head may explode, their leg may explode, but it'll do it in slow motion and it'll be incredibly disgusting. If you need a break from skill-based matchmaking, this might be one that you want to check out. But also, coming up this week, first of all, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, this game is for people who maybe like Skyrim. If you're like me, one of my favorite games of all time was Oblivion. But as far as this game goes, it is an incredibly in-depth medieval, basically RPG simulation. It goes incredibly in-depth with everything that you do, whether it's crafting weapons, dealing with the townspeople, riding horses, or even taking care of your horse. If you could do it in medieval times, you can probably do it in this game. It's going to be one that I'm checking out over on my second channel, Ink TV, which is always linked down below. Now, the one other thing that came out this week that I found super interesting is, if back in the day, I think it was 2023, Hogwarts Legacy was like one of the only games to ever outsell Call of Duty. And with the rumors that every studio out there is going to the live service model, we all thought that the next Hogwarts game, Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever they're going to call it, was going to follow in that path. However, this week an update came out from Hogwarts Legacy, a game from 2023, that introduced mods. Now, we've seen other studios like Bethesda do this for other games, where they tried to implement a system where they would charge for the mods that average people would make and try to make money off of the community in that way. Well, Hogwarts Legacy isn't doing that. You can literally log into the game right now on PC and just start downloading mods, whether you want your broom to become Shrek or whether you want your wand to become a lightsaber. There is many options that you can go through already, some that were already put into the game, and as more people get their hands on this, more and more will come out. And these aren't just aesthetic mods, there's some that add missions, add dungeons, and this is definitely something, a direction that I think many more games should go in. And we've seen it in the past with Call of Duty with custom zombies maps, and I think Black Ops 6 would be incredibly smart if they did this, especially being on Steam. But let's be honest, Call of Duty, it's Activision or Microsoft. I don't even know who we put it under, what branch we put it under these days, but what are the odds they're actually going to do this moving forward? But that is it, guys. That is the weekly reload. If you are enjoying this series, all I ask of you is that you hit that like button. It's a new series, new way of editing, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you want to see the series continue, if you want to keep it alive, hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on. It happens every single Sunday. So thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.